A fist lands flush on the jaw. The body drops like the strings were cut. No stumble, no bracing, just gone. It looks like the punch hurt him to sleep. It didn't. Pain has nothing to do with it. Somewhere in your brainstem sits a switch, smaller than your thumb. One punch aimed right can flip it off. And for a few seconds, you simply aren't there. Let's slow it down and watch what breaks. It happens faster than you can blink. Everyone thinks a knockout is about power. Bigger muscles, harder fist, lights out. But raw force isn't the real weapon here. The leading explanation comes down to one word: spin. Picture a straight punch to the forehead. It pushes the whole head straight back. Uncomfortable, sure, but the head moves as one piece. Now picture a hook to the side of the jaw. The head doesn't go back. It whips sideways. It rotates fast around the neck. Same force, completely different result. Researchers think rotation matters far more than straight line force. A spinning head is the dangerous one. That's why fighters aim for the chin and temple. The jaw works like a long lever. A clean shot at the tip swings the head hardest. The glass jaw isn't a magic weak spot. The jaw is a lever bolted to the skull. Hit it and the whole head whips around. It's about how easily that head rotates. An easy to spin head is an easy head to drop. So why does spinning matter so much? For that, look inside the skull. Your brain is not bolted to the bone. It floats in a thin layer of fluid. Cerebrospinal fluid cushions it on every side. Most of the time, that's protection. In a knockout, it becomes the problem. When the head snaps sideways, the skull stops fast. But the soft brain keeps moving. It twists and slides inside its own case. Picture jelly shaken hard inside a jar. The jar stops. The jelly keeps wobbling. And soft tissue hates being twisted. That twist is where the real damage begins. Now zoom in closer than skin and bone. Down to the cells doing the thinking. Billions of neurons get violently shaken. Brain cells talk through long, thin fibers. Scientists call those fibers axons. They are the wiring of your entire mind. They are delicate, far thinner than a hair. When the brain twists, those wires get stretched. Stretched, sheared, and in places torn. Doctors call this diffuse axonal injury. Countless tiny connections misfire at once. Some researchers add a second idea, that the shock tears microscopic holes in the cells. They call it mechanoporation. The exact split-second mechanism is still debated, but the result everyone agrees on is chaos. For a moment, the brain's signals dissolve into static. Now we reach the switch itself. Deep in the brainstem sits a mesh of neurons. It's called the reticular activating system, a small, ancient knot of wiring. It sits at the very top of the spine. Think of it as the brain's power switch. Its job is simple but absolute. Keep you awake, keep you aware. Keep the thing you call you switched on. It runs underneath every thought you've ever had. The leading explanation goes like this. The forces of rotation overwhelm that system. Its delicate wiring gets sheared and disrupted. And the switch trips. Consciousness doesn't fade, it drops out. One instant present, the next instant absent. The seat of you goes completely dark. No dream, no thought, no time passing. Just a gap where a person used to be. Now watch the body in those first seconds. Specifically, watch the arms. Something strange and unsettling happens. One forearm bends up toward the chest. The other stretches stiffly into the air. Doctors call it the fencing response. Hands freeze in that locked position. It looks like a fencer's on-guard stance. Doctors call it the fencing response. It is completely involuntary. A raw brainstem reflex breaking through. The conscious brain is offline. But the ancient wiring underneath still fires. In 2009, two researchers studied this. Hosseini and Lifshitz combed through some 2,000 knockout clips. They narrowed to a few dozen clear, hard impacts. About 2/3 showed this fencing posture. It's a documented sign of serious brain impact. But it isn't a guaranteed marker. Not every concussion shows it. And showing it isn't always catastrophic. Still, when you see it, the brainstem just got rattled. After the freeze comes the collapse. Stiff arms let go. The whole body turns to liquid. The fighter doesn't fall stiff like a board. He crumples and paws to the canvas. The brainstem has briefly lost its grip on muscle tone. Without it, the body simply can't hold itself up. That total limpness is the trademark of a real knockout. Then, after a few seconds, the reboot begins. The disrupted system slowly reconnects. The activating mesh starts firing again. The lights flicker back on, one by one. Awareness flickers back on. But it comes back messy and incomplete. Confusion floods in first. The eyes open without recognition. He doesn't know where he is. He often doesn't remember the punch at all. The brain never recorded the moment of impact. That memory was wiped before it could be stored. This is the classic, "Where am I?" Grogginess and fog can linger long after. From the outside, it can look like a clean recovery. Stand up, shake it off, walk away. And that appearance is the real trap. Because the brain doesn't reset to zero. The torn wiring doesn't fully untear. One knockout, and you mostly recover. But the damage can quietly add up. Hit after hit, year after year. Each blow leaves a mark you cannot see. And here the story turns dark. Repeated head trauma is linked to a disease. It's called chronic traumatic encephalopathy. Most people just call it CTE. It's marked by tangles of a protein called tau. Tau builds up around tiny blood vessels in the brain, spreading through the tissue over years. And this isn't a new discovery. In 1928, a pathologist named Harrison Martland described it. Old boxers with tremors and slurred speech, confusion and memory loss, years after retiring. He called it punch-drunk syndrome. In 1937, it was renamed dementia pugilistica, from the Latin word for boxer. Decades later, the same pathology turned up in footballers' brains. Tiny tau tangles revealing years of hits. But here is the cruelest part. CTE cannot be confirmed in a living person. Only an autopsy can reveal the damage. There is no certain test for it yet. It can usually only be proven after death, by examining the brain directly. By then it's far too late to warn anyone. You may have heard a chilling statistic. A brain bank at Boston University studied donated brains. They found signs of CTE in 99% of the former NFL players examined. It's a real and serious finding. But it must be read carefully. Those brains were donated by worried families. Families who already suspected damage. So it does not mean 99% of all players. It's a sample that leaned toward the sick. The honest takeaway is narrower, but grave. Repeated brain trauma carries real, lasting risk. Let's be clear about the line though. One knockout is not CTE. The danger lives in repetition over time. Now step back from the ring entirely. Think about what we just watched. Everything you are runs through that one small switch. Every memory you've ever made. Every plan, every fear, every love. The quiet voice reading these words in your head. All of it resting on a thumb-sized knot of cells. A system one clean punch can briefly flip off. The person you call you is not a fortress. Your mind balances on one fragile switch, and a hard enough hit can flip it off. It's a signal balanced on fragile wiring, and it takes less than you'd ever guess to interrupt it. One rotation, one angle, a few dark seconds. Remember that the next time you feel invincible. The lights are always on, until, in an instant, they're not.